Coach, so far this weekend, Ben Duran seemed to be doing really well. What was your impression with his performance?
Well, I think Ben is for him to have the success he's needs that blue collar workman mindset, and I think that's what you get with Ben. When he does that, the puck follows him. Often, and you know what it is. It's scoring's a premium in college hockey. The longer you go, the harder it gets. Out there, and I'm sure he was thinking about it for some time. Off it, but as I always tell guys, just play the game the right way, and Ben does that. He's a player that wears his heart on his sleeve, and he'll do anything for a teammate and do anything for a win. Out there, and at the end of the day, it was nice to see him, have himself a good weekend in terms of an individual standpoint. Hopefully that breeds a little momentum as we head into Princeton.
And Coach, with Gustav Sternberg being out, are there any updates on his health?
No.
Coach, penalty kill killed 5 out of 6 power plays they were faced on killing. What were your thoughts on their performance this weekend?
Yeah, pretty good. That's a good hockey club. They were big, strong, fast. I thought they were, definitely a top team we've played, out there, and really good job on the kill. Really good at taking away second, third opportunities. I thought we did a good job holding the blue line, forcing dumps so they didn't have controlled entries. And, at the end of the day, it's I know they had the one there in the third maybe when Tyler went in, Palmer. I think it was maybe tipped there on him. So, but I thought overall it was a real solid weekend on both power play and penalty kill. 5-on-5 needed to generate a little bit more offense, off it. But, at the end of the day, that's how sometimes it goes. And, special teams is such a big factor in wins. It can either keep you in a game, it can separate you in a game, or it can take you out of a game. And I thought this weekend, the penalty kill and power play both did a really nice job.
Coach, over the weekend, your team was outscored 6-1 in the third period. Is there something you want to see your team work on this coming up weekend against Princeton?
No. I think that's a skewed stat you gave me there, to be honest. In the sense of, one was a 6-on-5, right, on it. And they scored 3 goals in a matter of 3 minutes, off it. And one was an empty netter. So I think if you watch the third period on Saturday, take out those 3 minutes, we held that whole third period, off it. Opportunities were higher in the third for us over them. So sometimes you got to dive deeper than just a score, but, off it. So, no, do we want to play a complete 60? 100% we do. Everybody does, right? I get a chuckle when I hear people talk about, you got to get 10 minutes there the second. Well, that's for every team, out there. Everyone has, their ups and downs, highs and lows. It's whether or not you can weather the storm for that time. And when you get a good team like that, I think people need to understand that that's a really good hockey club. They're going to be really good this year. Off it, I said to them, don't be skewed by their record, because their non-conference they've played have been some pretty big teams, out there. So, at the end of the day, we have to continue to grind. I think that was our first regulation loss in league play. It's pretty good. First in 10 games, I don't hear many people talking about that. Everyone wants to just dwell to the negatives, right? Like, if you're telling me the next 10 games we're only going to lose 1 in regulation, I'll sign off on it right now too. You know what I mean? Off it. Like, it's one of those where we've played some really good hockey in the CCHA right now, and I like where we're at. I like where we're going. We got to build off it. We're going to have a tough opponent this weekend coming in. Princeton's 5-2 right now, and they're playing really well. So it's going to be a tough weekend, but we go to win every game. There's no doubt about it. And they got the better of us on Saturday.
Speaking of building, you have back-to-back home series this weekend against Princeton, and then next weekend against Northern Michigan before the CCHA winter break. How does that build confidence for a team having back-to-back home series?
Well, I absolutely love it. I don't have to go on the road for 14 days, right? So it's awesome. It's a good time of year. It's funny how quick, as you just said, we got 2 weekends of hockey left. I felt like we just started, really. Like, we're not really that far into it. But for us, we need to just focus on playing always to a standard, I say to the guys. So this weekend, we know the students are gone. We have a great support base here in the community and in the surrounding areas. So we look forward to, having two really good matches coming up, two really good games against Princeton. There'll be a lot of orange on the ice, we said. I was watching their pregame. They had some really neat old school orange jerseys. They were wearing. So it will be a real good battle test for us. But we have to understand that, again, we don't play to an opponent. I always say our opponents are faceless. Our opponent has to be us and how we want to play into our standard. And I think if you look at our group after that game Saturday, when you start to look around the room and you see disappointment, anger, it shows you got a group that's starting to really understand and come together, off it. And it's not so much built up frustration. It's more, we can beat those teams, but we also got to be really good to beat them. So it's going to be a fun weekend. We look forward to being home for the next couple. Guys have to stay focused this weekend. A lot of distractions being Thanksgiving and a lot going on. And then next weekend you got exams kicking in and stuff, right? So there's a lot there that we want our guys to, know when they're at the rink. We always say you're in a meeting or at a meeting. I don't need you at meetings when you're here. I need you to be in meetings and in practice, and then check out and go be a student and enjoy some free time.
Coach Ivan Krodiak continues to lead the team in block shots. He had 5 over the weekend, including 4 on Friday night. What did you like out of his game so far this year?
Yeah, just that. You gotta eat pucks. Where I'm still upset is we don't have guys in the top of the league. Last year there's a stat came out. CCHA I think put it out on Instagram or Twitter, or I guess it's X now. And I remember I took a screenshot and sent it to Kurt, because we didn't have anybody in the top 5 or 6, and I said that's a stat that is a courageous stat, and I'm glad you brought it up, because most people just go to the goals and assists, right? But really at the end of the day, you win games because of players that are able to get in front and block a shot. I don't think people realize how difficult that is. That's not easy, because even with all the padding we have, there's a lot of holes in that padding, right? And so Ivan's a big, strong, steady defenseman. When he plays a real simple game, moves pucks, stays inside the dots, physical, eats pucks, he's very effective, and that's what I saw.
Coach, with Friday night's game being right after Thanksgiving, do you expect maybe any sluggishness from your team after a big meal?
No.
Okay.
The big meal, I think, is at 11 in the morning. We got to have it early. That's a good question, though. You always wonder about that, right? In regards to, the turkey and now we as coaches might be a little sluggish. There's a good chance I have 2 meals that day and leftovers on Friday. But no, it's obviously a great time. We look forward to, on Thursday having a morning skate and then having a Thanksgiving dinner with the guys.
Coach, we got a promotion for $3 tickets this weekend. Hearing the numbers are in a pretty good upward trend. What do you want to see from the home fans on a holiday weekend coming up? Yeah,
well, obviously a great. Hopefully we put a good product out for everybody. But it's so awesome. When you get here and the fan base. You hear it all the time. The low ceiling, the crowd, the loudness of it. It's a really tough venue to play in. And the one good thing about, coming to Bowling Green is not only are you going to deal with the physicality on the ice, but you're going to deal with the noise and the atmosphere off the ice. And, we're always so thankful for those that come out to support hockey off it. We also know it's a two-way street. We got to continue to support people in the area as well, and businesses in the area and the student base on campus. And but it just makes for a great evening. And but I always say we have to. I tell our players we have to give them something to be happy to cheer for. And that doesn't mean we're going to win every game, but we got to play an exciting game. We got to play a hard game, physical game, one where we don't quit. And I think that's one thing. If people come to Bowling Green hockey games, they know they're going to get 60 plus minutes of a resilient group that's going to battle and compete. So hopefully those tickets are selling off. $3. Get your tickets while they last. You just heard from Michael. They're going fast.
Online folks, Peter, any questions? Yeah. Braden Crampton is doing a fantastic job to getting point shots through to the net. Mm-hmm. What is he doing that you would like to see the other blue liners adopt to create more offense from the back end? and not necessarily score from there, but just
Yeah.
to generate opportunities on, second chance opportunities, stuff like that.
Yeah, and Braden's done a great job. Not easy for a defenseman. I know he's probably averaging about 24 minutes a night, coming into college hockey, one of the top 23 in power play. But we brought him in for that. That's why I recruited him, was his offensive ability. Our job now is to help him round out his game from a defensive side, off it. But again, the one thing with Braden is he doesn't get frustrated. I always tell him, just don't get the first layer blocked. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times defensemen get worried because as a guy's coming out on them, they don't want to force a puck through. So if you can get at least through the first layer, we can live to fight another day down by the net. And he's really good at walking the line, getting his head up, being able to snap pucks, knowing when it's got to be on the ice or a high tip, off it. And I think if you watch what he did in Spokane, he was one of the best in the WHL. Off that, and no doubt he's really made the adjustment. You can see it week in and week out of adapting to college hockey.
Good. Thank you. Looking forward to the games this weekend.
I figured you'd have a goalie question for me, Peter, or something. No?
See, now I see. I'm in your head rent free right now.
I come in all the time. Yeah, you are. No, I appreciate it.
I have been really happy with the way the goalies have been doing. Obviously, I guess the low hanging fruit when we're going to see Cole Moore back in.
Yeah, well, I don't even know who's playing this Friday, to be honest, yet. So the one thing I always tell our guys, Peter, is I talked to him today about it is, what has happened on the weekends in the past. It's what you do all week. Like the weekend and the previous weekends can help build trust and give you more rope, off it. But really, my evaluations come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And our lineup's normally not made till Thursday. And if you look at what we do on Friday nights, we post our lineup, and then I don't make our lineup we don't post our lines till Saturday we get to the rink on games, because I got to dive in and make sure, off it. So we keep everything, really in house. And Kurt brought it up, the other day, is how much we dive into not only the video, but the analytics, and trying to put together, healthy guys versus if a guy might be at 90% or a little tired, is, we weigh in 100% guys. And I don't think there's many teams that switch lineups from Friday to Saturday. I would probably bet in college hockey more than we do. We're normally 3-4 out, 3-4 in, and a lot of times a goalie switch, off it, where a lot of college teams, I think, would just take that win on Friday and keep the same lineup, but I also understand how taxing games are, out there. And if we have fresh guys ready to go and there's not much separation between them, then I feel we have depth in those positions. We'll go with the fresh guys. So yeah, same with the net.
All right, I'll go on that. You've been back in the college game now for a couple of years. How have you found it adapting to practices with three goalies when you got used to just two for so long?
Well, I like three. We had three during COVID, right? And I liked that, because what we would do in Everett is if the goalie got tired, you can just get right out of the net. Because sometimes the drills aren't really conducive to the goalies, so you start to get a lot of east-west plays coming in, and they just get, at least now in college, they have a really good rotation, the guys do, and they work so well together, so they're able to just kind of go from one end to the other, give a guy breaks, and I don't even know how they do it. They just have their own rhythm, and but it does work well, especially if guys want to, we have ice during the day if they come back, and sometimes they bring a goalie with them, or depending on how practice is, like tomorrow's special teams more, so there might not be as many shots, so it's nice. We have open ice, in the mornings, if they want to go out. A lot of times you'll see a couple goalies out there with some of the forwards and D, getting extra shots in. So it's really good to see how well they work together and how genuinely they're excited for each other.
Okay, actually, you just tip my head for one more question. And you're talking special teams and with the goalies. Mm-hmm. Do you have, I don't want to use the word rule, but things you want your goalies to do on the power play, and depending by period, like is there certain things you want them to do in the second period as far as moving the puck up the ice, as opposed to maybe the first period where you want them to set up so everybody can get back and set up?
Yeah, there's different parameters to that, right? And different goalies get different ropes on who can play it better. You know, like I've had goalies in the past that got zero opportunity to move the puck because they just weren't good at it. And you had other ones that were like defensemen, like Dustin Wolf, you know, in Calgary. That guy can play the puck better than most D, you know? So he had no problems, you know, flying out to the top of the circle and putting up to the weak side, especially in that second, and catching them, you know, off it. So as we go through this, a lot of times, you know, it has to almost be a for sure set play, because there's nothing worse than a goalie moving it up and one guy's posted and the other four going for a change, because then you negate it. You know, it gets dumped in and they dump it back down, and so, you know, you kill an extra 30 seconds. So, you know, it is one where I think it's always based off of a goalie's puck handling skills often, and that's all right. Some goalies just aren't great at it. You know, some are average, some are really good, and some are below average. But every player's got strengths and weaknesses, right? So just like a goalie, you know, it's and it's for us to try to play to their strengths, you know, and alleviate any areas to their weakness. So, but yeah, like Tyler Palmer can play pucks really well. You know, he can shoot pucks up well, and you know, off it. And it's funny, even today I was shooting pucks with him in the one end. He was just rifling wrist shots with his goalie stick. You know, I was like, that's pretty good. So we'll see.
Good. All right. Thank you.
All right, that concludes today's presser. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter.